That is yummy. I'm playing with a bunch of scented geraniums. That's going to be for a future video. But today is FAQ Friday. We're going to do a lightning round because it is very steamy out here. We're about to lose the soft light and it's getting increasingly buggy. So here we go. Stuart is going to give me the code word and I'm going to answer the questions that you guys ask over and over again.
Pots.
Pots. Where do I get my pots? Anywhere and everywhere. I'm an equal opportunity pot shopper. I will get regular terracotta pots from large garden centers or from independent nurseries. I get them at estate sales. I get them at Goodwill. I am always happy to be a recipient of some hand-me-down pots from other people. So absolutely everywhere and anywhere. And I will use almost anything as a pot, whether it's a bucket, something plastic that I transform, a basket. I'll use almost anything as a pot. So that's where I get all my pots.
Newsletter.
Newsletter. I don't know why I haven't answered this before. I send out a weekly newsletter, generally on Tuesdays. It contains more personal kind of stuff, musings, upcoming events, upcoming videos, that kind of thing. To sign up, all you have to do is go to lindaVater.com, sign up there, and it will get you on the newsletter, and it will just automatically, miraculously appear in your inbox.
Plant to topiary.
Plant to topiary. Okay, this one I get a lot. Linda, could you do a video on transforming a misshapen plant or shrub into a topiary? Well, I actually have. There are a couple of them. If you go back in the inventory on YouTube, you will actually see 2 of them. I'm constantly doing more. And sometime, Stuart, we need to remember to do this. We need to go to a garden center and shop so that I can shop for what kind of plants I look for when I'm out looking for topiary candidates. The other thing, I also did an experiment, which I'll talk to you about in the future. So many of you ask, can you separate a multi-trunk boxwood into 2 separate boxwood topiaries? And I'll answer that question in another video.
Bricks and border.
Bricks and border. Stuart, give them a little idea of that. You can see I've got some weeding to do. Number 1, how do I control the weeds? And I'll do a whole video on just weed control. But things like this clover, other little things, purslane that's starting to come up right now, actually the easiest thing to do is just pour boiling water on them. That will kill them almost immediately. The bricks, how I lay the bricks and the flagstone and mix it, I will do a video on that. But in answer to one of the most frequently asked questions, do I have any kind of plastic under the bricks, underneath the gravel patio, any of those kinds of things? Is there any kind of subsurface on the gravel deck? There is a subsurface of crushed gravel, but there's no plastic or anything. It tends to just find its way to the surface and is very irritating to me. If you follow me on Instagram, yesterday I just did a long IGTV on my love affair with gravel that answers a lot of those questions. If you want to follow me there, go to Potager Blog, or you can just search for Linda Vater, but under Potager Blog, Potagerblog, you can find me on Instagram.
Happy Grow.
Happy Grow. I am on LVTV. I'm going to have a comprehensive resource list. One of the things I want to do for subscribers of where I get everything with a permanent spot where all of these things are located, so you know my favorite sources. It's actually a landscaper's mix. It's akin to a fine pine bark mulch. I get it at Lowe's. They most of the time have it, but sometimes they run out of it. It is inexpensive. It's like, I can't remember, $3 to $4 a bag. It's called Happy Grow Soil Conditioner or Happy Grow Landscapers Mix. And that's what I use. I love it. I sometimes mix it into my potting soil to make my potting soil a little bit lighter. It looks beautiful as a top dressing. It always looks moist. It has the consistency of chocolate cake. It's both attractive and functional.
Color of fence.
Color of fence. Okay, this may be in the top 2 or 3. What is the color? Stuart, can you pan over to the fence in the potager? This is a dark bronzy brown. It looks, sometimes it looks black, sometimes it looks a dark blue when you see it in videos and in stills, but it's actually a dark bronzy brown stain. It matches the stain on my house so that everything looks kind of harmonious, I should say. And if you follow me on Instagram, if you go into my garden highlights, I actually took a picture of the top of the paint can, which shows the formula. And I will also have that in my source list on LVTV. It is one of the most frequently asked questions, and it has inspired so many of you. It pleases me no end when you say that you did something. I've got a friend, Brandon, who actually built a greenhouse and was inspired by that color and did something very similar, if not identical. So if you have used it in any of your garden projects, would you send me a picture and I will try to post those on YouTube. Likewise, if you have started a topiary because you've been inspired by me, or you've started using gravel in an ingenious way, please send me those pictures. You can email me at info@lindaVater.com, and I'm going to try to do a whole video on just viewers share, because I want to highlight as much of your work as possible.
Power planter.
Power planter. Okay. Mark gets credit for this. Sorry, Mark, I don't, excuse me, remember. I've been shooting a lot today, so I'm losing my voice. I don't remember your last name, but you had, again, this is I love these ideas. There are no-brainer, duh moments, and I think, why did I not think of this myself? I'm like, was it the scarecrow that didn't have a brain? I'm like that scarecrow. But Mark said, if you have one of those power planter augers, and I do, because I am a spokesperson for their product. I love their product. It's just an auger that you attach to a drill bit, and it can really drill down and drill holes. And Mark made the suggestion that you use it to drill the holes for the bamboo mosquito torches. And what a brilliant idea. You can go back in my YouTube and find both the power auger video for how I plant a lot of things in my front yard in really root dense areas, and also the one on how I spray painted bamboo torches. Thank you, Mark.
Gravel.
Gravel. Okay, so I'm just going to have to do another whole video on gravel itself, because there are so many questions. But what I want to talk to you about today is actually going to answer 2 questions you have about gravel. One, does it move around some, and is that an annoyance? Yes, it does move around some. That doesn't bother me too much. If you are someone that it would really bother, then it's definitely a consideration you might want to take into account. If you're considering trying it and you want to test drive an area first, do a small utilitarian area, maybe by your hose or between the fence and your garage or something like that, to see if it will work for you. The other question that I have is, how do I keep debris, leafy debris, all of that kind of stuff off of it? If I blow it, doesn't that blow the gravel too? Well, all you have to really do, and I'll demonstrate this when we do another video, is basically, even if you have a powerful blower, you just skim the surface of it. And what that does is it just removes all of those things that are lighter than the gravel, any dried leaves, any fallen needles, anything like that. It will remove those things that are lighter than the gravel itself, and they just skim off, and I just blow them into the nearby flower beds, which serves as a mulch for them. It cleans it up. I can do that on a daily basis, and then just by using a little bit more power, I can and then get any kind of gravel that has traveled, say, onto the flagstone, I can blow it back into place. So that is basically how I use it. It works brilliantly. I can do it every day if I want. It immediately, it's immediate gratification because I can tidy up a place in very short order.
Blowers.
Blowers, okay, so that brings me to blowers. I have two different kinds of blowers that I have advocated over the years. I love both of them, but I love one more than the other. Unlike my children, I love both of you equally. Number one, if you really can't handle anything that's too powerful and you need something that is very, very light, or if you have arthritis, any of those kinds of issues, I got my mother-in-law one of these. I would recommend a WORX blower. That's WORX, and I'll see if I can put a link below to a WORX blower. It is very light. It's not quite as powerful, and if you just need to do some light blowing, it's perfect for that. If you want something that is a little bit more powerful, then I would recommend my new favorite, which is the LITHELI, L-I-T-H-E-L-I. I love all of their battery operated tools because all of the batteries are universal and they work on every one of their power tools. I'm going to do a whole segment on just LITHELI power tools. I love them. It has a turbocharge on it that I love. It can even be so powerful that, you know, sometimes how when your porch is wet and a leaf or something will adhere to that wet surface and it's almost like it's glued. It's very difficult to remove without bending over. This blower will remove that stubborn leaf. So those are my two, and I'll try to put links below to both of them. Sound. You will notice, because we post every day, so to post every day, that is a lot of video footage. And sometimes I will post something that may have been shot way back when, before we started using professional audio equipment. It may have just been done with a phone. It may have been done inside. It may have been done just when I was walking around the garden. But I think the content is still so valuable that I don't want to discard those videos because they are still valuable, and because it does take a lot of time to shoot a video daily. So I really try to make those accessible to you. Sometimes it's kind of fun. You can say, oh, this must be a throwback one. In the description, I try to always say, this is one from the archives. Turn up your volume, it may not be as great. Most of you are very, very kind about it. Some of you are kind of complainers about it, but I do understand. And I really am very flattered by that, because you want to hear what I'm saying and hear my different tips. But that is one of the reasons that the audio quality varies so much. Increasingly, we're using new kinds of equipment. Sometimes you guys are our guinea pigs as we test out new equipment, but nevertheless, hopefully, the value of the content and the information that's imparted is good enough so that you'll want to watch anyway.
Full sun.
Full sun. Okay, how do I define full sun? So the areas in my garden, I'm in a Zone 7 southern garden, and full sun in Oklahoma and in the South is not equivalent to full sun up in Minnesota or even Indiana or Ohio or New England. So full sun here, typically we define as maybe 6+ hours. But to me, full sun at the height of summer could be as little as 4.5 to 6 hours. But generally the areas that I say are in full sun, that is about 6 hours. What all of my plants want, and which I sadly cannot provide them, is only morning sun and only afternoon shade. And sadly, I just can't do that because they don't all have eastern exposure. So that's why I typically do my 3 strikes and you're out. I give a plant 3 opportunities to thrive in different locations before it's out of here, because there is no room for slackers in a small garden. Okay.
are you from?
Where am I from? I grew up in Tennessee. I was born in Indiana. A lot of my life I spent in Indiana. Most of my family, and I have 9 brothers and sisters, most of them live in Indiana, but they live all around the world. So I am a born Hoosier, but I have great affection for the southeastern part of the United States because I grew up in Knoxville. My son went to University of Virginia, but we travel a lot, and really, I think you just have to love the one you're with and learn how to garden where you are, because every place has its own intrinsic beauty and language of beauty. So as much as I complain about the heat here, I love my Oklahoma home, and I consider myself an Okie now.
And last but not least, greenhouse.
Greenhouse. It is top of my list, on my lust list. I have many things on my lust list, but some women want diamonds. I desperately want a greenhouse, and I don't have one, and I don't have room for one. As a little tease, Stuart does have room for one. So maybe in the future, Stuart will put one up in his backyard and we'll be able to access it. Right now, I depend, like Blanche Dubois, I depend on the kindness of strangers. Though he's not a stranger, he's my very good friend, John. And he is a landscape architect, and he has a greenhouse, and he allows me to overwinter my plants in that greenhouse. Periodically in the future, we'll be shooting there as well. He's got a wondrous place. It's just a fun venue to take videos, and we'll be shooting from there on LVTV. Some of the plants go into a heated greenhouse, and some just go into kind of a protected, unheated greenhouse. It really depends on the requirements of the plant itself and how low the temperatures can get before they just expire. So that was our lightning round FAQ. I hope it answered lots of your questions. If you have more questions, just put them in the comments below. If I didn't answer yours, please give me another nudge to answer it again. We try to be as responsive as we can. Please be safe, please be well, and please have a relaxing weekend. See you guys on Monday.